First and foremost, I want to thank you that you have listened to all of my bad writing and my narration of it. And here's a little backstory to everything. I am Twilight Sparkle and, well, Dragon Slayer's Squad Sparkle on the move. Yeah, I first started writing I Am Twilight Sparkle when I was sick. I had like 38 degrees Celsius fever and was heavy on pills, painkillers, anti-flu medicine and stuff, and I was feeling really woozy. I hadn't slept in like, 72 hours. And I just needed something to occupy my mind. And then I started I Am Twilight Sparkle, because I was listening to an audiobook at that time. That audiobook was Day by Day Armageddon by J.L. Bourne. And yeah, that kinda spawned the idea for I Am Twilight Sparkle. I had never imagined that people actually liked that story, really. But I was proven wrong, as I was so often in my life. Okay, now for the background info all of you certainly are waiting for, and that many of you can't wait to demand my head on a silver platter for. The thing is, in I Am Twilight Sparkle, Twilight fights her way through the equestrian, well, what would you call it? The ruins of what was once Equestria? She discovers many things, like one of her former neighbors, Lyra, being undead. She starts to theorize that the undead are feeding off of magic, and that they are drawn to her magical aura. She devises a method to distract them from her, or to confuse them by infusing her mana into animals or inanimate objects. But yeah, she gets captured at the end of I Am Twilight Sparkle by the forces of the traitor Apple Peel. Yeah, okay. Some of you might have wondered how she got captured in the first place. I mean, she was a crazy dragon, alicorn, singy, mishmash creature. That is pretty easy to explain. Twilight has never been a pony to distrust others very easily. She is more like on the everyone is my friend side. She has never had to fight other ponies. She has been very trusting of the soldiers around her, even though she killed their commander. How they captured her is easy to explain. You might remember that I threw that little tidbit in when Twilight described that she took a walk around the base, and when she was on the wall she saw a twinkling in the underbrush near the shore. That were actually binoculars. And yeah, those binoculars belonged to the advanced forces of Apple Peel's traitors. I also threw that little information in where she tries to contact the other bases, and one of them responds, but the radio operator gets cut off, and then there's only static. That was actually one of Apple Peel's forces who was still loyal to the princess and got killed when one of his comrades discovered that he was conversing with the princess. Yeah, so what happened in that attack? It's pretty easy. They just marched up to the gate, all, well, a few thousand of them, and, well, claimed to come from Dragon Base 1. Of course, Twilight and the forces on Celestia Island let them in. Yeah, and that was their doom, because in that following night, well, they attacked. Of course, Twilight fought back, and she is pretty strong with her new powers. But against, 50 or 60 unicorns casting a sleep spell on her, even she won't stand against that. So that's how she got captured. As for Spike, I have read a comment where it is stated that Spike wouldn't stand by when his surrogate mother and the mayor who holds his child would be in danger. And you're right, he did fight, but eventually went down. I have not yet decided if he is dead or, well, captured. The captured option, however, is more likely. Then we come to Dragon Slayer's rescue mission, Squad Sparkle on the Move. There are some, you could say, mysteries in here. First of all, yeah, I gave Blueblood some character. He's a good guy here. Why did I do that? Because I think he has a potential to be a good guy. He's just, he had a snobby upbringing, and I think if the shit hits the fan, then he really would be able to be a good guy. That's why I gave him some character here, some good character. I think I solved that mystery with all the technology, explaining that the TARDIS is in that research facility under Ponyville. By the way, you can ask questions under this video if I miss anything that you would like to know, and I will put out pretty much everything in another background info video, because I'm pretty sure I'm missing quite some stuff here. Yeah, so what do we have next in Dragon Slayer's rescue mission? Frostmane's reaction to her sibling's death. I would say, yeah, she didn't react very good to it. She was, during that fight on the graveyard, she was crazed. She was totally out of it. I had a scene written which I did not include. That scene was with Luna comforting Frostmane, who was sitting near the corpses of her siblings. I did not include that because I thought it was pretty poorly written, and not only that, it was, well, a little gruesome, a little too gruesome. And, yeah. That research facility is, we have only scratched the surface of what they did in there, and I have never planned for the story to be a trilogy, or even that there would be a sequel to I Am Twilight Sparkle, if I'm honest. I only did that because people seemed to like it. Okay, and what else do I have to say? Yeah. How did the Allied forces know that Squad Sparkle was in Ponyville? How did this alliance even come to life? And most of all, who commanded the changelings after Chrysalis was killed? These questions are a little harder to answer, but I will do it anyway. First of all, how did this alliance come into being? Pretty easily, to be honest, because the Griffins were desperate for allies. And, well, Luna was a half-crazed unicorn, a half-crazed alicorn, screaming Chrysalis's name all over the place while wrecking Griffin lands. So what did the Griffins do? They sent ambassadors to the hive, seeking help. And Chrysalis, eager to get rid of Luna, provided that help. And, well, who commanded the changelings after Chrysalis's death? Pretty easy. The Griffins did, because the changelings knew that they had an alliance with the Griffins, and their queen had ordered them to, well, obey them if she was not around. And, well, that they do. So basically the changelings are now under Griffin rule. What else? Yeah, how did they know that Squad Sparkle was in Ponyville? I think that can be explained pretty easily, because if you think about it, in one chapter I described that one of the technicians in Dragon Base 1 went ahead and connected to a hub that connected all bases. When he did that, of course, the location and status of Dragon Base 1 became visible to all other bases. So, yeah, everyone else knew what Dragon Base 1 knew. Everyone with the proper access codes, and Apple Peel had those access codes, being the commander of one of the bases near the border to Saudi Arabia, could figure out what the units sent out by Dragon Base 1 were doing and where they were. So basically, connecting to that hub was a big mistake. Okay, some of you might wonder what happened in Dragon Base 1. I can tell you this much. We see that there are slayers attacking the Pony&Wolf cemetery when Squad Sparkle is trying to bury their dead. That is not the only instance where the Allied forces bring slayers to bear. They also use them to attack Dragon Base 1. That is how they, for example, make the ceiling collapse. They use the slayers to, I don't know, crush open the doors of the bunker and their ground forces storm in. The base is completely unprepared for such an attack. They had never imagined that the bunker would be breached. And yeah, so Dragon Base 1 gets taken out. Some of you might wonder about the fate of, well, Blue Blood, Rarity, and Rarity's child. Here I have some very, very bad news for you, because Rarity and her child did not make it out. They were killed in the infirmary by the advancing forces of Apple Peel. Blue Blood was actually the one who helped Sweetie Belle escape, fighting off several attackers with a few soldiers, so that she and a few other civilians could make it out. Since then, Sweetie Belle has been taking care of Night Shimmer, who kinda sees her as his mother, because, well, she has raised him for 15 years, so, and he's never met Rainbow Dash, so yeah, she is kind of his surrogate mother. Where is Sweetie Belle now? That I will explain in the sequel of this story, because it doesn't have any room here, and I want it to be a surprise. As for what happened to Blue Blood, well, he was also killed while he was covering the retreat of some civilians and some soldiers. Next point would be, what happened to Frostmane? I can only tell you, you'll be surprised. But you can figure it out yourself if you just follow the clues I have put in throughout the story, and especially that last chapter. Not the epilogue, but day 13. And what happened to the survivors? What happened to Shining Armor? What happened to the injured? Well, that's a different story, but I will tell it anyway. It's like this. Apple Peel's traitors attacked the camp. They attacked the caves, the impromptu medical station. And Shining Armor put up his shield. To his misfortune, they used explosives and, well, a few rocks came down on him, so he is now permanently dead. He's down for the count. As for the rest of the survivors, they escaped deeper into the caves, and the traitors used explosives to bring down half of the mountain. But before they could do that, the survivors, well, they found something very interesting, because we have another species in Equestria which I have not mentioned so far, a species that lives underground. The Diamond Dogs, of course. They found Diamond Dogs tunnels and escaped through them before the mountain came down. So basically we have a few members of the Sparkle Wings and Mystique, a former pilot. That's pretty, well, interesting, I think, for a resistance group. Because Mystique, Major Mystique, I think I described her pretty good in that epilogue with that nasty scar on her left flank. I think everyone who has listened intently to this, or who has really paid attention to the details in this story, has identified her even before I mentioned her name in the epilogue. Yeah, and now Mystique is of course not too happy with the Griffin/Changeling occupants of Equestria. She still sees it as her mission to at least find out what happened to Princess Twilight Sparkle. Because Twilight Sparkle, well, that was kinda her mission. And yeah, she does not believe that the captain is dead. In that regard, she is kinda like Scarlet Rabbit from Upheaval. She does not believe that the captain would die in a random encounter, or that Frostman would go down so easily in any way. And from what Candy Cane says, he has a pretty good idea where she might be. And even if she is dead, they might at least find her corpse. Why she wants to find Frostmane should be obvious. Frostmane has lost much to the Allied forces. Not only her mother, her brother, and her godmother, but also the very land she grew up in. She has a very high level of grudge, and if you remember the end of I Am Twilight Sparkle, Frostmane swore to herself that she would not rest until she had found Twilight. And I think that since Mystique was not that close to Frostmane, I mean they were friends, but she was always loyal to Frostmane. She always did everything to support her. And I think she would rather have Frostmane in command again than lead a rebellion herself. Because, well, she has some experience with commanding troops, but she kinda wants the old crew back, at least as many of them as she can. That's, I think, the reason why she wants Frostmane back. And if Frostmane is indeed still alive, well, that would be quite the interesting story, don't you think? Especially, where is she? And, well, has she 4 legs, or does she kinda now walk on 2? I don't know yet. Because as you remember, after that explosion, the only thing Candy Cane saw were 2 bloody legs near the edge of the crater. And yeah, I don't know. If she's still alive or if she's dead is still to be decided. I'm not sure yet, but it's going to be interesting, I think. Are there any other mysteries that I have missed, that I have not explained in the story yet? Please let me know. Ask below in the comments. I will definitely answer them. And that is why I have labeled this video Background Information number 1. Sincerely yours, Visual Pony.